This is Manifesto Check. Let's get into that promise of a law village. In fact, this was captured in the NPP manifesto in 2020. Now, my manifesto checker, Dennis Barberi Wadam, is here with me. So always good to have you. Now,
my manifesto checker colleague. Yes, that makes us two.
Indeed.
So today we are delving into the terrain of legal education, and the run-up to the 2020 election, there was a lot of advocacy, a lot of protest and agitation towards some legal reforms, as they called it then. There was a hashtag that had to do with open up legal education.
Indeed.
So a lot of that went into some of the promises that were made by the key parties. But for the fact that the MPP is in party and we're holding them accountable, we just go back onto their manifesto to check what they made with respect to legal education. Now, the promise that they made was that over the next 4 years, we will expand infrastructure to increase access to professional legal education. Professional legal education here refers to the part where you train to become a lawyer, not the faculty level.
I see.
Because for a very long time, the challenge has been transitioning from the faculty into the professional law course, what is popularly called Makola.
Yeah.
So that was the basis for this particular promise. Even though details were not given at this point, as the days rolled by, we got to appreciate exactly what they were talking about. But even before we get there, let's listen to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who at the launch or the unveiling of the NPP manifesto said something about this particular campaign promise. Let's look at that and come back for the rest of the conversation.
We will also expand infrastructure to increase access to professional legal education. This is one area that the limited infrastructure in the law school really limits intake. And so there's a lot of frustration with many prospective lawyers not able to get in. So we are going to help expand the infrastructure needs so that we can get more people who are able to study.
This was ahead of the 2020 elections at the University of Cape Coast.
Yes, that was the unveiling of the NPP manifesto.
All right.
So that was a promise well captured. Now, fast forward to 2021, we would learn about a project called the Law Village.
The Law Village.
Now, what is that Law Village? Simply a project that was to establish some 5 major buildings on some 5 acres of land somewhere around the UPSA Legon. So on the stretch from the Presec Junction towards UPSA.
Yeah, I see that
yes,
land.
Just before the Vice Chancellor's office.
True.
There's a vast piece of land there, which the project was supposed to be sited on. In fact, it has actually sited. And the details of the project are such that it was going to have 5 major buildings, 1 academic block, a library block, a conference block, and a hostel block. The project was estimated to cost some $55 million US. It was to be executed in phases, starting with the academic block.
Right.
The cutting of the sword for the commencement of this program was done in 2021. At that event, it was the President of the Republic who cut the sword for the commencement of the project.
This Law Village.
Yes. And this was what the President had to say in respect of that. It is my expectation that the completion of the Law Village will expand access to legal education without compromising on its quality and ultimately assisting the administration of justice throughout the country. He goes on to talk about how his government is committed to expanding legal education and how this will spur
obviously
the administration of justice to higher heights. So, as you can see the quotation of the President then, in that particular regard, the Attorney General was there as well. He also made comments about how the government has made infrastructural investments into the judiciary, including the Law Village project.
It's talked about the commitment to leave a lasting legacy in professional legal education.
Precisely. And mind you, the President, even before this event, had cause to complain or even to suggest that a lot more people are not able to get to the law school because of its limited space.
True.
And that his government was committed to doing so.
Right.
So this Law Village projects came as some refreshing news for LLB holders and those who aspire to pursue law, because the expectation was that once this was done, then it increases the space.
Absolutely.
For a lot more access to legal education. But from 2021, since the sword was cut, till we are here today, we paid a visit to the site. Yes, we paid a visit to the site just to see what is happening there.
You went to this site where the sword was cut?
Yes, we were there.
In 2021?
Yes.
Did you find buildings?
Well,
did you find a foundation?
The videos will speak for us.
We've got videos.
We've got videos of it.
Okay, let's see it. Let's see it. Yeah, let's see that. Bare land with some
yes, there's some foundation works. Yes,
I see. And we understand that there was some update of the percentage of completion.
Yes.
At a point.
At a point, there was an update of it which suggested that 80% of the groundworks had been done.
Groundworks, 80%
of the groundworks had been done. But as it stands now, this is the state of the Law Village.
But this doesn't look like 80%. Well, look, I mean, I'm not...
I mean, you and I don't do the assessment. We don't get to do the assessment.
But this is a foundation. But you don't need... I mean, look, if you say 80% of foundation works done, does this look like it? This is bare land, right? And obviously, that building there is not the building we're talking about, right?
Which building? No, the buildings you see there, I think those are the UPSA hostels.
Let's go back. This one is
this particular one. So now I understand even these buildings, which are supposed to be places where materials are being kept, are let out to some people to also lay their heads.
People are squatters
are in there. So this is what we are talking about. So this is actually supposed to be the Law Village, the one that is supposed to be an investment into infrastructure so that it will increase access to legal education.
I see. But
as was promised in the 2020 manifesto of the MPP.
But so the completed building we see in the far off in that video...
It's not part of it.
...is the UPSA hostel?
Yes, that is not part of it.
Okay. So this is the location of this, where this sword was cut by the president for this Law Village project.
Yeah.
Groundworks 80% completed. That's what they said. But the question to our viewers is whether this groundworks looks 80% complete.
Yeah.
And also, how much so far has been sunk into this project?
Well, that we are unable to ascertain yet, only that we know by the time this project is done, with all that was expected to be done, like I mentioned earlier, the academic block, the library block, the conference block, the hostel block, all that is supposed to cost us $55 million US.
55 million.
As it stands now, that is what we have there. The promise was that by the end of the 4 years, so yes, over the next 4 years, they were expand infrastructure. This was a major infrastructural expansion they were supposed to embark on. And that is what we have for by way of updates.
I see. On this promise.
Projects of the...
That's the video we've been showing you.
Law Village.
On the foundation. This is what we have of the Law Village. Certainly, this cannot be completed within 10 months. The nature of the details of the project we're talking about. You said it's what? We're looking at hostel facility?
Yes.
And then also...
an academic block.
Academic block.
The first phase is supposed to be the completion of the academic block, which really, it's what is going to open up the access for many to be able to join. Open up the access for many to be able to join or to go to the law school.
I see. So
now, guess what? This same line, if you paid close attention to Baumia's vision statement,
right?
This same line was repeated in there.
In the vision statement, he delivered...
Except to add that now access to professional legal education, he added and also medical school, something along those lines.
I see. So there's a high probability
But he was the same person who made this announcement at the unveiling of the manifesto, like I played the video.
So there's a high probability that we should expect that
maybe
if what he said is anything to go by, they will capture it in the 2024 manifesto?
Perhaps.
As an ongoing project?
Well, ongoing continuation.
I see. Well, you know what? We do all of this to add another layer of verification for our viewers. So this was when...
Yes, when the men were on the ground.
Going on.
Yes.
This was in November 2021. The video you're seeing now is November 2021. This same area. That's when the foundation, they were putting the iron rods and others.
Yes, so I think it was around this time when I think they had gone past a certain stage, and that was when we were told that 80% of the groundworks were almost done.
It was in November 2021. And then just this afternoon, the video you're about seeing was taken at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Take a look at this. At 2 p.m., this is the state of affairs today, from November 2021 today. This is it. So there's a clear difference, or at least you know if some work had been going on consistently. And we don't belittle the impact that this would have had. Obviously, expanding legal education, and we talk about not many lawyers in this country, and many people desiring to get into the law school.
Yeah.
That's a promise that I'm sure a lot of the law students, prospective law students, bought into, and that would have even influenced whatever decision you take to vote. It's important.
Precisely.
So this is something that, look, we're going to keep an eye on this one. And as we have showed you, it was a promise that was made, yet to be delivered. The foundations, as we're seeing right now,
or to be charitable, a promise in progress.
So as you see it, so let's put, this is the two videos side by side. So this is the one that you see human beings on that.
2021.
This was in 2021, as against what we are seeing now in 2024, where there's no activity on this land, and squatters have taken over that building you see there. So, for the prospective law students, and even those in the law schools,
yes,
desiring,
yeah,
you know exactly what's going on, and we demand that level of accountability in our democracy to ensure that we benefit from what this democracy offers. Because in the end, look, we cannot just be treated with manifesto promises that don't get fulfilled, especially when the manifesto, this is the only document that defines that relationship or the contract that you have with the politician. Reason why you vote for them is the manifesto. And so if they tell us what they cannot do, we have every right, at least as journalists, doing our job, to bring it to bear and demand some level of accountability. That's what, look, Manifesto Check is all about. And it's a journey that we're going to go the long haul. A number of you, we've been getting messages from some of our viewers asking why the focus on the NPP manifesto. So there's a quick answer to that. They are the government in power. They won the mandate in 2020. They are been given the resources and the power to prosecute the promises that they made to us. So we can only do fact-checking and then also cross-checking of those status of the promises that they made. The NDC launches their manifesto, the CPP launches their manifesto.
That's true.
We now look into the possibility and the feasibility, the timeliness of some of the promises they make.
And Alfred, if the NDC had come to power and were doing this same manifesto check of what they had said in 2020, what they said in respect of this was that they were coming to accredit more faculties to take up the role of professional training. So what that meant was that if they were in power today, would have been checking with the faculties. I think there were 14 of them that are running to see which of them are doing professional training.
Good.
But they did not come to power. Those who came to power said they were going to increase infrastructure. One of the key things was to build a law village. Fantastic idea. An attempt is made. They are at it.
Here we are.
But the
this
verdict is yours.
Manifesto Check, and the verdict is yours, the viewer, to take. After this quick break,